Video 2. The regularity of the beginning of global cataclysms on Earth. Extraterrestrials are warning about natural disasters beginning soon. However, this will not occur by chance. It turns out that the onset of global cataclysms on Earth is a manifestation of the general law of development of the planets in the solar system. That is why this process cannot be stopped or changed. Extraterrestrial civilizations inform us that the universe is a unified system of consciousness. Stars, planets, black holes, galaxies, and other cosmic objects are separate systems with different mechanisms for improvement of consciousness. Looking at the incredible beauty of the night sky with sparkling stars, you would never think that nuclear and thermonuclear reactions raging in depth of their subsoil are one of the mechanisms of consciousness improvement. Planet of the past, present, and future development of consciousness in the solar system. As we know, in the solar system, there are two groups of planets, solid and gaseous. Extraterrestrials inform us that the presence of these two groups are related to the development of consciousness. They are the planets of development of past, present, and future consciousness. To the planets of the past belong all the gaseous planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, as well as Pluto and Mars. On all these planets, the stage of consciousness development has already finished, and they are subject to destruction. In the solar system, we see different phases of this mechanism, from the very beginning up to the end. The beginning of the process is presented on Mars, where the mechanism of destruction of the planets has been running at full speed. However, in the initial phase, Mars has passed to the category of planets of past development of consciousness quite recently, and processes of destruction didn't manage to transfer it to the category of gas planets. Therefore, Mars still belongs to the terrestrial planets. On Mars, only the first stage has completed, the leavening and loosening of the surface, preparing for its inflation. The processes of destruction that will soon transfer this planet into the category of gas are still working in the bowels of the planet quietly but very rapidly. However, meanwhile, this can't be detected by the increased volume of the planet. Nevertheless, already now on Mars, we can see the strongest dust storms in the solar system. The samples delivered from Mars show that Mars once had a strong magnetic field. However, it is now almost completely absent. Photos taken from the surface of the planet show that Mars once had a lot of water. In the photos can be seen runoff in hundreds of locations, dried deltas of rivers, and subsurface seepage of water. Today, almost all the water has disappeared, as scientists believe due to the decrease of the magnetic field, cooling of the planet, and thinning of the atmosphere. Underground water is converted into vapor or ice immediately after reaching the surface. Currently, water on Mars exists in the form of ice of the north polar caps and also as vapor in thin clouds. The planet Earth, with the start of global cataclysms, will become incompatible with life of organic nature, and it will be transferred into the category of the planets of past development of consciousness. Gradually, Earth will look like Mars, but then pass into the category of the gas planets. Pluto represents the last stage of the destruction of the planets in the solar system. This is the planet of deep past, from which only the kernel is left. Scientists have already transferred it into the category of a dwarf planet. In addition, Pluto has no longer a circular orbit, like all the other planets in the solar system, but elliptical, which crosses the orbits of some planets. The planets of the future development of consciousness are Venus and Mercury. The improvement of consciousness on these planets will take place in the near and distant future, first on Venus and then on Mercury. So Venus is almost ready to receive organic life in human beings. Mercury is a planet which is like a compressed bud. On this planet, organic life and humanity will live in a very, very long time just after the cycle of consciousness on Venus. These forms of higher consciousness require certain conditions of life, which gradually, over many millions of years, are created on the planet. The planet of the present development of consciousness is the Earth, as the improvement of consciousness on it is happening at this moment. Thus, the planets of the future development of consciousness represent different stages of the transformation taking place on the planet, while the preparation for the adoption of organic life and human beings. The planets of the past represent all the stages of destruction of the planet after a full cycle of consciousness development. The mechanism of destruction of the planets of the solar system. The mechanism of destruction of the planet in the solar system is one, and is happening by a certain scenario. The process begins with the destruction of the planets by global catastrophes aimed at leveling the surface of the planet, that is, transformation of the mountains into piles of sand. This is the first stage of destruction on the planet. When the first phase of deep fracture of the solid surface of the planet by global cataclysms ends, the second stage begins. In the second stage, and at the same time, two processes develop. On one hand, the destruction of the internal structure of the planet happens through reactions similar to reactions of carbide. Silicon carbide with the release of gases happens. In the atmosphere of the planets of the past development of consciousness, the gas planets Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus, we have discovered acetylene, the product of carbide reaction. On the other hand, the wind is increasing, blowing harder on the planet's surface, right down to the core. The first phase of the destruction of the planet is represented on Mars, and the final stage on the dwarf planet Pluto, which is its core. The strongest winds in the solar system are blowing on Neptune, the last gas planet. Their speed is sometimes greater than 2,000 kilometers per hour. At some point, the gaseous planet, there is only one kernel left. By this time, the circular orbit of the planet is gradually drawn out, turning it into an elliptical orbit. This leads to the following. The remains of the planet's core, which are not amenable to being inflated by the wind, are going gradually farther and farther beyond the solar system and finally break away and come into outer space, where it will be destroyed as the debris by special mechanisms. A similar situation will happen soon with Pluto. The cleaning function of the universe makes black holes, the vacuum cleaners of the universe. Thus, in accordance with the algorithm of consciousness development in the solar system, there are three types of planets: past, present, and future development of consciousness. In the universe, there are mechanisms for the rapid destruction of planetary systems, in which the process of consciousness development is broken. A break of consciousness development means that the civilization didn't make the transition into the next cycle of life in time, and was destroyed with the start of global cataclysms. The planetary system, with incomplete development of consciousness, is subjected to complete and fast destruction. For this purpose, the black holes located in the center of each galaxy are also used. The ozone hole and mass death of whales, dolphins, fish, and birds worldwide. The beginning of global cataclysms is the result of the critical reduction of the magnetic field of the planet. This process is revealed in the appearance of ozone holes, first over the south pole of the planet. In 2011, the ozone hole appeared already over the North Pole. In addition, the critical weakening of the planet's magnetic field causes a failure in the biological compass of whales, dolphins, fishes, and birds, who orient themselves in space according to magnetic fields, and it is manifested in their mass death worldwide. This sad phenomenon recently has been observed very often. The UV index, indicating the level of ultraviolet solar radiation on the planet, has sharply increased. Thus, the maximal value of the UV index, 10 units, has been replaced by 12. Extraterrestrial civilizations are confident that despite everything on the Earth, mankind will have enough forces in mind to make the transition before the start of global cataclysms. They are absolutely sure. Listen to the next message with Extraterrestrial Civilizations emergency information on our YouTube channel, Our Transition 49. Please inform us about groups for the training of consciousness unification for the transition around the world by our email, alidia8@yahoo.com, ALIDIA8, or vpopova@gmail.com, VPOPOVA. Detailed information is provided on our website, www.ourtransition.info.